This is a continuation of 1-4 solving absolute value equations. Um, Sometimes when you solve absolute value equations, there is no solution. Remember that absolute value is a distance. And so if I'm saying that some value is -4 steps away from 0, or the distance is -4, that can't happen. What we call this is the empty set. And sometimes you can note it by the braces and don't put anything in between the braces. Or you could just write an O with a slash through it. That means the null set or the empty set. So if we solve this problem, first of all, we need to get the absolute value by itself. And so we need to get rid of this -2. And since -2 is being multiplied by the absolute value part, we divide to get rid of -2. And make sure you do it on both sides. And we're left with the absolute value of 3a equals -3. Well, there is no value that I can put in here that is going to give me an absolute value equal to -3. Because absolute value, once you take absolute value, it's always positive. So in this case, there is no solution. You can write the empty set or the null set, or you can write no solution. Sometimes when you solve absolute value equations, you might only get one answer. There are times when you might just get one answer and times when you'll get two answers but only one of them is correct. So if you have two answers or two solutions and only one is correct, you have to throw away the other one. You can't use it. So if it cannot be used, it's called an extraneous solution. So let's look at these two examples to figure out exactly what I'm talking about. In this example here, I need to get everything away from the absolute value. And remember, just like in solving equations, you have to do the order of operations backwards. So I need to get rid of -2x first. I'll add 2x, and I'll add it to the other side of the equal sign. So I'm going to add it over here. So I'm going to be left with 3 times the absolute value of 2x plus 2 equals, go ahead and combine these x values together, 3x plus 3. And now we still are trying to get the absolute value away or by itself, so we need to move this 3 away. Since it's being multiplied, we need to divide by the 3 on both sides. And now we have the absolute value of 2x plus 2 equals, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. Remember, if you have two terms on top or a binomial on top, and you're dividing, you have to divide both of these values by the 3. So 3x divided by 3 is just 1x, or x, and 3 divided by 3 is just 1. Now that our absolute value is alone or isolated, we can set this up to solve. Just like if we had a single term over here, we need both the negative and the positive version of it. So we'll say 2x plus 2 equals x plus 1. That's in its original form, just without the absolute value bars. And we need 2x plus 2 is equal to the negative version of x plus 1. Notice I'm putting parentheses around it because it's the negative of the entire side, not just the x. Now let's solve each of these equations. I'm going to move the 2 over, get all my like terms together. I want my variables on one side and my constants on the other side. And so I'll have x equals -1. Over here I need to distribute, so I'm going to go ahead and write out 2x plus 2 equals -x minus 1. And then start moving terms, minus the 2. And then I'm going to add the x. So I'll have 3x equals -3. And go ahead and divide by 3. So x equals -1. In this example, both of them equal -1, so there's only one solution, and it is -1. Let's try this one. Again, I have to isolate the absolute value, so I need to move this minus x to the other side. I will add x. I'm left with 2 times the absolute value of x plus 1 on the left, and 4x minus 4 on the right. Now I'll divide by 2. I'm left with the absolute value of x plus 1 equals, again, divide both terms by the 2x minus 2. Now we set up our equations. Remember, the absolute value is equal to both the negative and positive version of whatever's on the side. So x plus 1 will equal 2x minus 2, or x plus 1 is equal to the negative version of 2x minus 2. Now start moving your terms around. Minus 2x here. So I'll have negative x equals -3. Divide by -1 to get rid of a negative in front of the x. And so x will equal 3. And over here, I want to distribute. We'll have x plus 1 equals -2x plus 2. Move your like terms together. We'll have 3x equals 1. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals 1/3. Okay, so it looks like everything's working out great. And when we get to this point, we need to check these answers and make sure that they actually do work. So we need to take this 3 and we want to plug it back into our original equation. And you say, well, 3 plus 1 is 4, so the absolute value of 4 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 minus 3, because 3 was our x value, is 5. So we'll get 5 on this side. And if we plug in 3 on this side, we get 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 minus 4 is 5. So that worked out perfectly. You can also use your calculator. So I'll show you how to put in absolute value now, and we'll use the 1/3 in our calculator to check. So we'll type in 2, and we need the absolute value bars. And so if you hit the math key, which is right up under the alpha, math, and go over to NUM for number. ABS is absolute value, so go ahead and hit enter there. Yours may appear with parentheses and say ABS in the front if you have an older calculator. We'll go ahead and type in 1/3. I'm going to put it in parentheses. 1 divided by 3, and then plus 1. That's 1/3 plus 1, because x was my 1/3 down here. Arrow over to get outside of the absolute value. Minus, I'm going to go ahead and put 1/3 again in parentheses, 1 divided by 3. You can also use the alpha y equals button, and this right here, n over d, we'll put it in a fraction form where it's directly a numerator and a denominator. Okay, and let's just see what this equals, because this is the left side of the equation. So this equals 2.3 repeating. Now let's type it in the other side. So the other side is 3, and the x was 1/3, so 3 times 1 divided by 3, and then we need to subtract 4. Enter, and the value here is -3. So the two values, or the two sides, are not equal when I plug in 1/3. So this solution is the extraneous solution. You got to get rid of it. The only one that will work is 3. Now it's not that you did anything wrong, it's just an extraneous solution. So that is 1-4 solving absolute value equations when there are special cases. Thank you for watching.